is it you pray for?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the 21st episode of Abyssal Musings. We are now officially old enough to go to the bar. My name is Samuel the Infamous, and with me is my co-host Lawrence Knight.
What's going on, everyone?
Yeah, been a great week. So let's say hello to the chat here. Let's see,
Well,
chat.
before you do that, I mean, I haven't even asked you how you're doing this week.
Um, I'm still upright and above the dirt, so that's about all we can hope for right now.
Yeah, yeah, Shadowhawk. I'm not even gonna address what you just said. Yeah, at least I'm not. I'm halfway not because this point has already been made. However, I did get a text message earlier from someone who went onto another podcast, put the word first on it, took a screenshot of it, and then sent it to me to get a rise out of me.
It was me.
Yes, I know it was you.
I didn't just do that either. If you check the FNR group chat, I posted it there too.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. That's why I
Every-
didn't check it.
and I think Ryan said he's like, oh, Lawrence is going to be pissed, and about four
Eh,
people have responded to that with laughing emojis.
Yeah, he was right.
So, but we do need to say hello to the chat. Well, so, hi Shadow, good to see you, man. Boa, as always, great to see you. I see Kohai's in the chat. Things must be slow at work tonight, but that more bully for us. Greetings, JV. Morning, as you say. I think I saw Beak here. Hi, Beak. And yes, she is. She texted us like 4 hours ago and says, I'm going to be on Lapeef's big show tonight. And it was just like, we can stop by in the chat and say hello, but we have a show to do too. So,
Yeah, and her reply to that was, "Uh-oh."
yeah.
I haven't checked it, but did you just tell me that somebody did like a backhand threatened her or
Now,
try to insinuate that somebody else was gonna knock Amira out?
what happened was, and I did not watch the whole thing, so do not take my word for it. If you're curious, go watch the thing. But uh, I the few times I jumped in to show support for Amir and all that, the first time they had a panelist on who was clearly inebriated to the fucking gills and shouting and all this stuff. And I guess there was some kind of misunderstanding with her where, you know, I don't know, people were agreeing with each other, but you know how it gets when you got a belligerent drunk and they, even if they're agreeing with you, they're not.
Hmm.
And so they kicked her off the panel apparently with like a I don't know, a reality TV style vote or some bullshit. And at least that's what I'm gathering from context from what I'm hearing. I didn't see that part. And another panelist was telling Amira, she's like, if you had said what you said to her uh, when she's that drunk and that belligerent in person, you'd better be prepared for a fight or some shit like that. And at that point, I was like, all right, I'd rather watch Jerry Springer. it's not,
I
it's
guess
not my
Amira was
bag.
supposed to be afraid of that. I'm laughing because anybody who knows Amira knows that the chick
Hey,
is
Spock.
armed. We know that she's armed.
Yeah. But
So
drunk chick was on chaotic. Yeah,
before she went on to the beach.
I bet he didn't take well to her screaming over him the whole time because you know how he likes to run over people with his words.
Well, I guess I've got a lot to look at tomorrow. So let me see. No Shadow. She knows how I feel about her being a Slytherin. So
That's funny.
she
Uh,
knows how I feel about that, and she gives me this evil grin, like the Grinch. You know you know how the Grinch stole Christmas when he does that really deep evil grin. That's what she does while she's swearing up and down that she has no evil intentions towards me or anybody else. Yet her brothers will tell you how she tortured them when they were kids.
yeah. So, Spock, good to see you. I hate to tell you, but I beat you to it about 3 seconds after the stream went up, and I've got screenshots that I sent to both the guy who started the stream and Larry to prove it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, logical.
Yeah.
We're not.
I mean, again, it's not like anybody's particular fault. The fact is, it's like I get a lot of those notifications from Legion Talk before other people do because I see it on in the Twitter guest chat. You know, so I get notifications for that. Joker Voice gets them the same time I do. He's just not a dick about the first thing.
What's wrong with being a Slytherin? What's wrong with being a Slytherin? Every person that I know that is devious, diabolical, and too smart for their own good are all Slytherins. Every last one of them.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know from Harry Potter.
Kohai's probably a Slytherin.
I have no idea.
With those memes, yeah, Kohai's a Slytherin. Either by choice or by birth. But she's a Slytherin. No, Kohai, I'm not a Slytherin.
Well, that wasn't Kohai, first of all.
Excuse me, no, Shadowhawk, Shadow Kai, Shadow, whatever you want. No, I'm not a Slytherin.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Joker,
know.
you're oh Lord. Yeah. Yeah, I should have seen that coming. I should have seen that coming. I thought you were a Gryffindor.
Really? You got Gryffindor from him?
Yeah, I did. See, Gryffindor gets all the applause, and everybody wants to be a Gryffindor, but they're known to be elitist and arrogant.
Fair enough. Hey, Shadow.
not that joke. Seriously, Joker is none of those things. But but they have a lot of good qualities. But I would not have guessed Slytherin.
Yeah. Shadow. We know you're not Kohai, but I'm also not Davy fucking Jones, so suck it.
Yeah, deal with it. And technically, you're young. You are a Kohai.
Well, I mean, kind of. It's better translation would be student rather than child.
Well, compared to some of us older folks,
right? Some of us old broken folks who feel the cold in our fucking joints.
By the way, that photo you sent me of those ice crystals frozen in your beard was hilarious.
Yeah, so folks, it's really cold where I am right now. I think it's I can just check right now. Oh, hey, it's warmed up about 5 degrees. It's minus 17 right now.
Oh Lord, Ryan's here. And he retracted his message. I wonder what that was about. He probably admitted he was a Slytherin and retracted it before I saw it.
Damn it, I missed it. Well,
you
howdy,
first,
Ryan.
Shadow.
We're not.
It's still in your mouth.
Nope.
It's still in your mouth, Shadow.
Don't leave me out of it.
All of his tentacles are in your mouth. Well, except for the one that's trying to give you to reach around.
Oh. I was going to try and get through one stream without bringing up, violating people. So, hey, JV, you're in Vegas. Larry tells me that you guys got an incoming winter storm yourselves.
So, no, that's California. I suspect that Vegas is going to get hit with it. From what I was reading about the size of the storm, when they tell you that Los Angeles is bracing for a blizzard, that's pretty serious. I would not want to be in LA right now.
Yeah, it's we got the real feel, or the fucking wind chill factor or whatever, is somewhere around minus 33 right now, which is it's chilly. It's cold. And that picture I took this morning where I was frozen to shit, and you could see like all of the, which by the way, I'm not going to show to all you guys, but Larry's seen it, has it was about 6 degrees below zero when I took that shot. It's a fair bit colder now than it was then.
Yeah, you looked cold, man. You looked frosted over. And I saw that photo. I was like, oh, I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah,
I was like, it's Frosty the Tentacle Man.
yeah. It
Cause
was.
you
It was.
you look like Afghanistan in the photo, like just bombed out, and depleted. I was like, that ice and snow was just on you.
Well, actually, see, here's the thing. I didn't actually have. It wasn't snowing this morning, so I didn't have any snow on me. That frost that you saw on my beard was all condensation from my breath
Ugh.
that just froze when it left my mouth. It didn't get very far. And it gets to a point where like the mustache starts freezing to the beard, so you can't even really open your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, super super fun. It's one of the hazards of having a long beard in Arctic weather. But on the other hand, my chin was warm as shit, so
I'll bet it was.
yeah. So that was nice. I was toasty in that regard, but yeah. So that's how it's going here. We've like whole city shut down yesterday because of the onset of the cold weather, and then today it opened back up again. And it's actually colder today than it was yesterday, but we're not having like that rapid freeze that we did yesterday because it started out with a snowstorm that's kind of been going on and off for about 3 days, and then it got warm enough that Tuesday that it started raining, and then the temperature dropped, and so we had a real hard freeze on top of like snow and ice that we've had lying on the ground since fucking October.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's all ice.
Yeah. So, Kohai, if I knew how to braid, I would, but it's not a skill that I have. No.
You can't look
So,
at a YouTube. You can't Google it or look at a YouTube video.
oh no, no, no. I not only have I tried that, but I also have a number of women in my family, including my daughters and my sister and my mother and my ex-wife, who have all tried to teach me how because I've had long hair more than I've not had long hair, and tried to teach me how to do it, and I just do not have the knack for it. It's like whistling. I'm shit at that too.
Really?
Yeah, there's just some skills that I just don't have, but I can curl my tongue in that one way that only about like 0.3% of the population can do. So there's that. But I can't whistle for shit. I have a very hard time blowing up bubbles or with like bubble gum or with blowing up balloons even. Um, and that might have some more to do with my lung capacity due to like
Yeah.
decades of smoking than anything else. But I
Yep.
really
That's
couldn't
what.
do it when I was young either. I just never really got the knack for that. So there's some things that are like really basic that everybody takes for granted that I just can't do. So, uh, but there are other things that I can do very, very, very well, like take a punch.
That's important.
Yeah, it's just a thing. I would love to have Marco Hietala's beard boa. That guy's got an epic, epic beard. For those of you who don't know who that is, he was the former bassist and male vocalist for the Finnish band Nightwish. He also did some other stuff. He has got some solo stuff in a handful of other bands. I think he did some stuff with Delane a couple of times. Um, and he's got this just epic fucking Viking beard with like two braids that go down to his belly button coming off his chin. So pretty sweet. It sounds yeah. Well, I mean, JV, there are some skills that I have with my mouth that are second to none. So yeah, ladies. Anyway, moving on.
So, moving on. So tonight, guys. Again, thank you for showing up. We've got a bit of news today. So tonight, as promised, I have we have the history of comics, but we're splitting that into two parts because that's a lot to go through. We're not going to go through, every point in time of history, but because there's just too much information out there. There's so much to look through, um, which I'm happy about. But we're gonna split that into a second part. Um, And as you guys know, in about 10 minutes, a certain movie's coming out. A movie that is ahead of, way well ahead of its time. A movie
Mhm.
that goes back in time. A movie that you'll never forget going forward in time. A movie that is already getting praised on one hand by critics and then getting bashed on others by critics, which means that it's going to be an outstanding movie if you understand what it is and take it for what it is. So tonight we have another segment in honor of Cocaine Bear, um, and some interesting stuff too. So you guys definitely want to stick around for that. Um, and then we've got some things about upcoming Marvels movie, the Marvels, um, and also MCU. Secret Wars. Looks like that's getting pushed back, possibly. Um, I don't know if you heard about this. Aquaman 2. To say that it got bad reviews is an understatement. And then we have another gaming spotlight for you guys, with a game that I'll go into when it's time. But
Yeah. Yeah,
poor
Kohai,
Kohai, you won't be first.
I feel you. I'm not going to be able to go see it on opening night either. I'm going to have to wait till Sunday. So you guys will have a reprieve and enough time, hopefully, to see it before next Thursday, when I will expect to talk about it with people who have also seen it. But yeah, I will be going probably Sunday because I don't have enough time to do it on Saturday, and by the time I get off work Friday, it will be too late to make it out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna find a way to get. I'm gonna find a way to go out there. I'm trying to get my wife to go with me, but she was like, "Nope." So I'm like, "Okay, I'll find somebody."
I'm kind of with Boa on this. Actually, I'm kind of totally with Boa on this. I'm done with the whole thing, and it's not even so. Yeah, Aquaman 2 is going to be a fucking disaster. For one reason or another. It's got Amber Heard in it, which is going to drive a lot of people away from it. It's been reshot about 100 fucking times, like everything else that they're putting out nowadays. Which so it's going to be an editing nightmare, and probably the first handful of people who go see it are going to come out and be like, okay, that was a little hard on the eyes. Um, I'm sure it's going to be chock full of too much fucking CGI, like the last one was. Uh, just there are a million reasons that this is not going to go well. And this is indicative of a larger problem with not just DC, but, Marvel and all this stuff. And to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of one of those guys who's suffering from a little bit of like, uh, you know, cape overdose, as it were. I think I have seen too many movies in the genre in the last decade. It's just I'm burnt out. Even if they were good, I'm still burnt out. I started watching some obscure uh, movies that I've been finding on streaming services that I'd never heard of before that have nothing to do with like comic books or flights and tights or any of that stuff. Just because I'm just tired of watching those things, even the good ones. You know, like I watched a movie last night from it was from Denmark with Mads Mikkelsen.
Mhm.
Um, and called Riders of Justice. And it's about revenge. It's about crime. It's about uh, it's got some darkly hilarious moments in it, and it was really good. And I very much enjoyed that. And it was that or Superman 1978. And I love Superman 1978, but I'm just not feeling the fucking superhero shit anymore. So
Well,
I don't
I'm the
know.
opposite. I'm the opposite of that. I can watch. I mean, it's not that I watch them every day, but if they're good, you know, I can watch them because they release a couple every year. Okay, it's fine. Um, but I can understand how people would you know get that overload that you're talking about.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just just tired. Um yes and no, boy. I guess it depends on your taste, really. Some of the stuff that Razorfist recommends is kind of not in my wheelhouse in terms of preferred stuff, and some of it is. Um, Speaking of which, for those of you who have not heard, he recently posted on Twitter that he will not be live streaming tomorrow. So if you follow Razor Fist, he's going in for surgery today. So fingers crossed he comes out okay. So so no live stream from him tomorrow because he'll be in recovery all day.
Yeah.
So but yeah, as far as like Pulp Fiction, kind of stuff goes, I mean, even some of that to a degree, which inspired a lot of modern day capes, like Batman, for example, was inspired by the Green Hornet and the Shadow, and those kind of Pulp Fictionary vigilante type stuff. Even that, I just don't have the stomach for anymore. And maybe I'll come around eventually.
I
It's
think you just
probably,
need a break.
yeah, it's an overload, and I gotta step back. So
And it also doesn't help that, I mean, a lot of it's been dominating the news outlets, and it also doesn't help when you see studios destroying established characters, you know, all in the name of woke politics, or trying to put out some message that most people,
mhm.
people go to see a movie for an escape. They read comics, or just anything that's not a newspaper. They read it for an escape. You know,
Mhm.
so I definitely I can understand the overload, but I just think there's so many people that love comics. Now, what I do believe is what I just talked about is going to destroy it is going to destroy the industry, because the overload is one thing, but what's being injected into these movies, everybody's sick, for the most part, everybody's sick and tired of. And the
Mhm.
people who want it, majority of them don't even watch the stuff.
Right, but that's always been true, and it's still managed to bring the whole thing down.
Yeah.
Like it starts small. It starts with niche stuff. It starts with comic books, that kind of thing. Um, and excuse me, and because they I mean, you know how that cycle goes, right? Somebody comes along and says like, "Hey, I want to be included," and the fandom's like, "Okay, hey, come on in," and this person's like, "Well, I don't like this thing about it." Okay, well, I don't like this thing or this thing, and eventually they take over and boot all the original fans out, and the next thing you know, the product is just garbage.
Yep. And
And that's
I and
happened. Sorry, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry, no, no, you go ahead.
It happens over and over and over and over again, and that's why we've seen the destruction of superhero stuff. That's why, like currently with the MCU, everything that's going on with that is basically destroying everything that they've already built, and they're doing it to themselves, and they're doing it at the behest of people, like you said, who don't pay to go see these things.
Right.
They don't pay for the comic books that they're they go on Wikipedia, and that's where they get their fucking knowledge from. And as we all know, Wikipedia can be edited by anybody,
Hmm.
and some of those people are either idiots or liars.
Yeah.
you know
Oh yeah.
so um and it happened with Star Trek, it happened with Star Wars, it's happening right now with Indiana Jones. I mean, some would argue that Crystal Skull kind of started that shit, but um it's happened with hell, Stargate's on the fucking chopping block. I can't imagine, I can't tell you how unhappy about that I am, but thanks, MGM, for selling that shit to Amazon. Fucking Lord of the Rings, they're trying for, and I know. It was announced at the WB shareholders thing that Zaslav wants to make a bunch of new Lord of the Rings movies. Which, on the one hand, yeah, keep it away from fucking Amazon. On the other hand, you've already got the 3 movies. Fucking leave it alone. Yeah, I know they want money, but I don't care. So, you know, um, yeah, they're talking about rebooting again, Battlestar Galactica. I think I had heard something about them trying with Babylon 5, but as long as J. Michael Straczynski is alive, I believe he said that nobody was going to be rebooting his property because he owns that in full, if I recall correctly. Um, so until he kicks, they're not going to be able to do shit about that. They can talk about it all they like. So, but yeah, it just keeps happening over and over and over again, and they're driving people away from the things that they love, because you can't rely on escapism anymore, man. You can't, and that's the goal, is to put their fucking agenda forefront in your mind at all times, no matter what you're doing. and it's driving people crazy.
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing that these corporations don't understand about people is you're trying to force this on us, but we have to pay money to see it. And if you're going to keep doing that, then I'm not going to pay to see it. So you're going to lose money
Hmm.
because you're not shoving anything in my face because I'm not paying to see it.
Right.
Period. They're destroying everything that they're touching. They're
Well, and
losing money left and right.
but that again, that is their, like obviously for upper management and the people who want to make money, this is not the goal. But for the middle management that they keep fucking hiring, this is the goal. The goal is to tear down any possibility of escape from the fucking humdrum of commie life.
Yeah, but they're not going to succeed. I mean,
Uh,
you can keep going what you keep doing what you want, but a parallel system is being built in its place. So
sure,
so
the Iron Age.
you go ahead and do what you're doing. We're gonna go do this.
Yeah, sure. The Iron Age is coming up, and like you got certain creators over at Comicsgate, and you know, hell, Chuck Dixon is a legendary writer for comics, fucking legendary. The guy did some of the greatest fucking stories in the 80s and 90s, and he's no longer affiliated with the big two or any of that. He's doing independent comics now. As a matter of fact, I think he will be a guest on the Real BBC next Tuesday. So if you guys are interested in hearing what he has to say about like the woke shit, that'd be a good time to do it. They usually air in the mornings on Tuesdays. So, but yeah, I mean, so there is some underground fighting back, and that's how it always goes. Like anytime there's some oppressive thing, or hell, even Godzilla, man. Godzilla was a nuclear power protest film, but they couldn't outright explicitly say that, so they couched it in this sci-fi kind of thing. Because it was against the law in Japan to do any kind of criticizing of the status quo or the people in charge at the time, and it was also a protest about what America had done to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Just in general, nuclear power was bad. It had destroyed two cities. The economy was moving more towards, or the infrastructure was moving more towards implementing nuclear power plants at the time. Because you got to remember, this movie came out in 1954,
Right.
and the filmmakers were like, "No, we know from experience, we know from what the Americans did that nukes are bad. We can't see how nuclear power plants would be a good thing ever." So they created this thing, which was about a dinosaur that got mutated by atomic tests into this 400-foot like radioactive fire breathing lizard that went on a rampage. And they did that so that you could watch that and you could just enjoy that as a movie. But if you really knew what was going on sociopolitically at the time in Japan, you'd also understand that this was an in-your-face protest against what the establishment was trying to accomplish. So, I kind of lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with this, but just that, I don't know. There's good stuff out there, and sometimes the message is a good thing. But when you're inundated with message at the cost of story, at the cost of character, it's not worth it, and it drives people away. So you end up with people, going off and doing their own thing, like you're saying, with the Iron Age, which for those of you who don't know what that is, it's not exactly a collective. It's more like a hashtag. But you got
Hmm.
guys like Razorfist producing their own work. You got guys like Shadiversity. He's doing his own. He's got a graphic novel based on a book he wrote coming out soon. Um, I think George Moilo of the channel George the Giant Slayer. I think he's working on something movie wise. you know, you've hell, I think they've even included some of the stuff Daily Wire's been doing, like that Terror on the Prairie movie, in
Hmm.
this kind of fuck Hollywood, fuck the established entertainment industry. We're gonna do it ourselves, kind of thing, which is good. You know, and I've heard this prediction all over the internet recently, and I think that it's accurate. That time will like right now, you can shoot a multi-million-dollar movie in your basement with your fucking iPhone,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, because it's we know this because it's been done.
Yeah, it's been
Um,
going on for. Years now.
and it won't be long before anybody can do that. Which I think,
Well,
obviously, the
people have been
established
doing
people,
it though.
right? But like either the technology is getting simpler and simpler and simpler, and so for people like me, for example, who can't make heads or tails of an editing program because I'm an idiot, time will come when I will be able to do that with little to no trouble.
Because
You
you'll
know,
have a machine that'll do it all for you. I mean, they're pretty
Mhm.
much out there now.
Sure. So,
Amira is chatting with Anthony Brian Logan. That's good.
I don't know who Anthony Brian Logan is.
ABL. He's very well known.
Not by me.
Well, you ain't nobody, so I guess you're not anybody. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
So, um, but yeah, it's I guess the overall point is like you're right. There's a rising resistance in terms of entertainment coming. Uh, or even what Eric July is doing right now with the Rippaverse. And I think
Mhm.
there's some guys over at Geeks and Gamers, Epic Mike and Josiah Rises, I think, are working on something called the Epic Verse, which I believe they're looking more into like short films than other stuff. But don't quote me on that because I don't honestly know that much about it. But I know that they're working on doing some stuff too. And just that's basically what it's going to take. We're going to have to write our own books. We're going to have to make our own movies. We're going to have to draw our own comics because what is on offer from the people who've always done it before is worthless. You know, sorry to wax long on that, guys.
No, no. Actually, I was gonna because this goes right into the history of comics anyway, and so that's what I was gonna ask you. Um, Now, doing my research, I've gotten two different sources. One is saying that um, comics started in Japan, you
Good night,
know,
Shadow.
basically hieroglyphics. I can
Uh,
I can I can see why they would want to say that because of how hieroglyphics was written, but I I don't count it. I don't I don't count hieroglyphics as comic strips. I mean, I guess maybe you can. Who knows? Um, hey, that's great for Drunk 3PO.
yeah, I think it was achromatic something, achromatic adventures or chronicles or something like that. Is the name of his book.
But no, the other my other source that I pulled, I I follow that more. It's you know, the 1930s. Comics
Yeah,
started.
I mean, I would say probably even closer to the 1920s, because like funny books and stuff have been around since the old days of the old west, but they didn't really uh, take off as an art form, and I believe it started as like comic strips and newspapers actually. In terms of like what people think of as comics today, at least American comics today, you know, in terms of the art
I'm
form.
inclined to believe that. I'm inclined to go along with that. I think with the 1930s, I think that that's when they were talking about actual comic books, not just the strips. And of course, when you think about the 1930s and you're thinking about um, the actual comics and maybe some comic strips, but the first thing that came to my mind was Superman.
Right.
Action Comics #1.
So, um, created by Jerry Siegel and Joel Schuster, a couple of young men from Brooklyn who I don't recall if they were immigrants, but I think their parents were, um, and they were looking around at the world specifically for their community, but the world at large really needed some icon to look up to, right? And that's where they came up with the idea for Superman, and he that was in 1938, and he was the first, as we understand them today, capes and tights superhero. There were comics before him for about 10 years, but most of those were like, you had like horror comics, you had,
Yeah, like the Penny Dreadfuls that
yeah,
Joker's talking about.
detective noir comics, that kind of thing, and stuff like that. But yeah, he was the yeah, yeah. Well, the Penny Dreadfuls had been around since the early 1800s. And usually those were taken right from the headlines. Um, and somebody would like draw up little horrible things. You'd pay a penny for them, and they were awful, and that's why they called them penny dreadfuls. Um, so I guess I mean, the history, I guess, depends on where you want to pick your starting point, because it's like the emperor who had no clothes, right?
Hmm.
So that story everybody knows, right? So the emperor gets fooled by a tailor who wants to make a quick buck, goes out there naked, and the kid calls out. It's like, oh my gosh, the emperor's got no clothes on, and that's the be all and end all of the story, right? Well, what they don't tell like that, but every story has a beginning and an end, but it doesn't necessarily begin and end where you think. Like, it could also just as easily be the boy who received a sound thrashing for speaking up in front of the king. If you
Yeah.
take it just a little bit further, you know, um, or so I guess it depends on where you want to pick your point in history as to the actual genesis of comics, because obviously storytelling has been around as long as there have been people to tell them.
Right. And that's why I believe that the origin of comic books will always be they'll always be debated.
Mhm. Yeah, and it will. But as far as the origin of superhero comics, you're right. Though that happened in 1938 and was followed in 1939 with the creation of Batman and Detective Comics, and then everything kind of snowballed from there. I'm trying to remember the name of. So Marvel didn't start out as Marvel. They started out as I want to say Atlas Comics, but I could be wrong about that. Um, and they
Or was it No, it wasn't
No,
Sensation.
I'm pretty sure
It
it was
was
Atlas. Um, but they were bought out by some other guys who then renamed it to Marvel Comics.
yeah.
Um, Same thing with the character those of us who grew up reading this stuff, by the way, still refer to Shazam as Captain Marvel, because that's his fucking name.
Yeah.
Uh, and has always been his name. And it wasn't until the 70s that Marvel got weird about it, because they wanted their own Captain Marvel, uh, and all that stuff. So they started like with litigation, and I don't even think it was till like the late '90s where DC finally capitulated and stopped calling him Captain Marvel. But he was a product of a smaller company called, I think, Fawcett City Comics.
Mm.
I could be wrong about that. I think that's also the name of the city that he actually is the character is from. But and they were bought by Detective Comics and absorbed, but that actually started out as a separate company and an IP that was not owned by DC, that got absorbed by them and then included into their larger universe. Fawcett Comic, yep, yep, yep. And you remember when Shazam was the name of the fucking wizard?
Yep.
You
Yeah, I was
know?
like, dang, how many Shazam?
Right? Yeah, right, yeah. I was just like, it wasn't the name of the superhero; it was the name of the wizard, and it was an acronym for the six legendary heroes and gods who lent Captain Marvel his power.
Yeah.
Wisdom of Solomon, strength of Hercules, endurance of Atlas, I think,
Atlas.
the lightning bolt of Zeus, speed of Mercury, and I forget what the other A is for. I always forget the other A, but that it was an acronym about describing his power set. you know? So, um, and he was a great character because he was just this little kid who was imbued with power well beyond
Beyond
mortal
even his own
understanding.
comprehension.
Yeah. So, and he was a really great character. I It's possible that I've read too many comics.
Or you can never read enough of them.
I mean,
I know Joker's right. I mean, Captain America. I mean, and having
mhm,
been served in the military, like comics, I can tell you right now, comics did not leave the military. At least while I was in,
mhm,
they had this comic strip that was with the motor pool. So the motor pool had they would come out with these monthly manuals of how to maintain your vehicle. If there was any changes or updates or things that that the military had coming down the pike, this booklet, almost like a magazine, it would tell you. And half of that magazine was a comic book about a motor pool master sergeant that was
mhm,
going around busting people for not changing the oil right or not putting the right screws on a wheel. It was always some kind of lesson. But the point of it was to use the comic to make it easy for the average soldier who wasn't a mechanic to understand. You know,
Hmm. Yeah. Achilles, thank you, JB. Achilles is the other. Uh, there it is. Yeah. Appreciate that. I can never remember that one for some reason. Yeah, they did a lot of that kind of thing, where there was a lesson attached, or there was something, because people in general, they're audiovisual learners. You
hmm
know, it's sometimes it's not enough to have words on a page. You got to have pictures too. You know, some people learn better from diagrams. Some people learn better from storytelling. And for your average grunt, in the army, um, it was probably a lot easier and a lot more entertaining. And if a person, this is proven, if a person is entertained, they're going to absorb knowledge more thoroughly than they will if they're bored to shit.
right.
You know, so yeah, that's actually a pretty brilliant way to do it. And it wasn't just Captain America who was used as propaganda in World War II. Superman was too. There are a number of
Truth,
stories that,
justice, and the American way.
yeah, well, not just that, but there are a number of stories where he goes over and fucks with the Japanese war effort. And do you remember the Fleischer cartoons from the 40s?
Yeah.
So they had one that, and I'm going to say the name here so YouTube don't get pissy with me. It's the name of an old cartoon called Japateurs, which was basically Superman flies over to Japan and starts sabotaging the Japanese war effort, and basically tells Tojo to go fuck himself. I mean, in so many words, he doesn't swear, but um, and I think I might still have a copy of that on VHS, because this was before they started like burying everything that was like possibly, oh my gosh, it was from back then. It's super racist. Got to get rid of it. Um, and yeah, they put this cartoon out, and it was they would show these cartoons at the theaters sometimes before a longer feature, and it would get people hyped up to go, support the war effort, kind of thing. And and they were doing that shit in the comic books. And obviously there's that very famous cover of Captain America where he's socking Hitler in the jaw, which is just fantastic. Yeah, this is true. Just about everything at that time was bent towards getting the American people to think a certain way and to behave a certain way, as it concerned the war effort. And it wasn't just in America; it was happening all over the world. But uh, I mean, the whole world was at war. Everybody had their own propaganda going. But yeah, they were propaganda. It wasn't until I think the 50s that they really kind of relaxed and got into more fantastical stories. I don't remember what year it was exactly. I think it was 57 or 8, but I could be very, very wrong here. The first ever issue of the Justice League, where 5 heroes came together to fight off Starro the Conqueror.
Mm.
And I mean, I don't know if you've read that issue, man, but it's batshit. I mean, it's a giant psychic starfish with an eyeball in the middle that goes around conquering planets with its mind. And that's really it. It's just a big fucking starfish. No.
That's funny.
And I think the founding members at the time were Aquaman, Green Lantern, specifically Hal Jordan, because by this time Alan Scott was a part of the whole. I think they were already doing kind of an Earth 2 thing with the Justice Society. It was like,
Mm.
Hourman and Dr. Fate and Hawkman and that sort of thing. Um, but yeah, it had Superman, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and I want to say the Flash, but I could be wrong, mistaken about that. I don't think Martian Manhunter had come into prominence yet, and obviously Hawkman was off dicking around with the Justice Society. And I don't think actually even Batman was in that issue. I don't think he joined the Justice League until later. So, which is funny too, because Wonder Woman was also in the Justice Society, where she was basically their secretary. She did the note taking in the minutes at their meetings. It had like no lines.
That's messed up, but okay.
Well, if you think
I mean,
about
for the time, you know.
like do you know about the circumstances surrounding the creation of that character?
Yeah, yeah, Wonder Woman. Yes, I do.
Yeah. So, for those who don't, William Marston Moulton was a professor at the time who created this character based on his experiences and the two most important women in his life, his wife and his mistress. The reason she carries a golden lasso and in early comics was constantly being ambushed and hogtied with her own lasso is because he was into S&M and bondage in a big way in the 40s.
Yeah, yeah, he was. And
Yeah.
there was a documentary on him.
There have been a couple that were really good, and there was a biopic too that was pretty good, but I don't think that one was super accurate. It was just a good movie. But yeah, and so she didn't really come into her own as a character until probably the mid 50s herself. Because she was just kind of like set dressing or just kind of in the background for a lot of those stories until later on. I mean, she had her own stories too in her own comic, but they didn't really sell very well until she started interacting with other characters. So, was it Martian Manhunter, JB? Okay, yeah, I appreciate you looking that up because yeah, that's right. Because Superman didn't join till later either. So that would have been the founding lineup of the original Justice League then. So, and yeah, they're fighting a big fucking starfish on that cover. So, and again, guys, sorry to wax long about this. I have not bought new comics in probably a decade because they've been trash, but there was a time when I was very much into this stuff. So, uh,
Yeah. Well,
Zeron, the Injustice League, yeah, I don't know. Are you talking about the one from Earth 3, which later became the Syndicate, or are you talking about the original iteration of I think it was the Legion of Doom, because they were originally called, I think, the Injustice League, and there were a couple of different permutations of that before they got around to Legion of Doom. So, also hello. So I'll stop talking now, Lawrence. You
no, no. I mean, look, that's fine. I mean, the reason why I asked you the question is because I know that you know a lot about comics. I do too, but my memory is, my memory on it was so long ago since I took that class on comics that I knew I couldn't do the monologue justice, which is why I asked you.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah,
um,
I learned all this stuff before I Swiss cheesed my memory, so it's still in there.
um, now I will say this. Yeah, here's the part that I'm sure as everybody knows. People collect comics, people collect baseball cards, and I mean, we had that discussion last week. I told you about my friend that he went to Goodwill and bought 3 boxes, that had cards in it for $10. And for you basketball fans, I mean, just one of those cards, and we looked up the card, we looked up the number on it, the type of card it was. Just that one card alone is worth $6,000. It was a Michael Jordan. Now he's got 5 others that are either as valuable, a little bit more, a little bit less. Another one we pulled out of that deck, out of one of the boxes, it was worth 3,000. And then he has a Shaquille O'Neal rookie card.
Hmm.
So so there's no telling how much money this guy has in those 3 boxes. I mean, he was pulling basketball names I haven't heard in years. And I just looked at him. I said, if I were you, I wouldn't tell anybody else that you've got that stuff. And he was
Yeah.
like, really? Because he didn't, I mean, he watched. I mean, he knows Michael Jordan, but a lot of the others he didn't. And I'm looking at the different cars, and I was like, if I were you, I wouldn't tell anybody I've got this stuff
He's got a Scottie
at all.
Pippen.
Yeah, he does. In
Nice.
fact, um, and you're talking three long boxes. What's up, Zyron? Um, but yeah, three long boxes just full of these cars, man. And you never know what you can find at a Goodwill.
Hmm.
In fact, I'm actually thinking about running over to a Goodwill. Oh, Kohai, Kohai.
Have a good night,
Have a
Kohai.
good night. But yeah, you never know what you can get. Now here's what shocked me for a loop. Here's what got me. Now we were talking about Superman.
Hmm.
We were talking about Superman earlier, right?
Hmm.
And I'm actually gonna send this to you. I'm gonna present this so that everybody knows that I'm not lying about this. At least
Well,
until they,
yeah, I was gonna say you're an admin now, so you can
yeah.
bring that stuff up yourself.
Look at that.
Yep.
That's a year ago.
Hmm. This isn't the same guy. There was another guy I think who found one of those in near mint condition in his freaking wall
hmm
and made a lot of money off of that.
Yeah. There's another Superman right now, and it's funny because I looked this up. Now this is a different one. There's another one that is selling in New York right now for $1 million. I was at a friend's house tonight, and I told her that, and because she had you know how you take those boxes, and you can have like take a picture and have it put on almost like a box, and you could put it on the wall. Her cousin, she had that comic, and her cousin stole it.
That's nerds have killed for less.
Yeah,
That's no
but
joke.
yeah,
Nerds have actually killed people for less.
oh yeah. But look at this. It's your Action Comics #1 went for
Hmm.
3.25 million in a private sale. Comic Connect, an online auction. Guys, this stuff is worth money, man.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
people. Go ahead.
Well, the story itself is actually just kind of this goofy little thing, but it's just the fact that they only printed so many of them because they didn't figure they were going to sell in the first place. They printed them on cheap pulp paper, which was disposable as shit at the time because that
hmm
and that's really all they could get because most of the good paper was going towards the war effort.
Of course.
And I mean, there's a reason that they did like four color art. It was because that's what you could get. It was cheap, and so nobody expected any of this stuff to be worth a damn.
No,
Um, and I
especially
think,
back then, they didn't.
yeah, and now I think there are probably like the number of mint condition Action Comic #1, uh, probably number in the tens. Because most of them ended up in the trash because people would buy comics, they'd read them, and they'd throw them out or
They
they'd hand them
toss
off
them
to
out.
someone
Yeah.
else. Yeah. So, because they were for reading, it wasn't till later that people started thinking, "Oh, hey, maybe we should hold on to these." And then it wasn't even till after that that people were like, "Oh, we should definitely get some of these acid absorbing backs and put them in plastic so that they don't get messed up or wrinkled or anything." And then the few that survived all of that ended up being worth a ton, but a lot of them didn't survive it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, you'd be surprised, man. I mean, I told you about that. The college I was going to in my undergrad, and they had a whole other side of their library was full of comics. I mean, you're talking several millions of dollars. And a lot of those comics, they were made of that paper that you just mentioned, and they're all sealed up. And the librarian made sure to tell us, she was like, don't even touch them because they're so old. If anybody takes them out of plastic or anything like that, you'll destroy them. You can't even take them out to read them. They're so old. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I mean that's the you know people nostalgia, and you know and the rarity.
I mean, I had comics when I was a kid that I wish I had taken better care of because I was a kid, man. I bought them to read because I liked the stories. Um, and it never occurred to me. I was one of those kids. It never occurred to me that, oh, hey, maybe this will be worth money someday. I took as good a care of them as any kid generally does with their reading materials, but it wasn't like I wasn't planning for a future at that time.
Mhm.
And but I had some stuff at the time that would have been worth not. I mean, we're not talking like Action Comics #1 numbers anywhere near that, but a couple grand here and there. I had a nearly complete run of Hex, which
Mhm.
was a spin-off of Jonah Hex, where he got pulled out of the old west and dumped in a post-apocalyptic future where water purification tablets are currency.
Makes sense.
And I had a nearly complete run of that when I was a kid, and that was just because my dad
Good night,
was a big.
Tyrone.
Hey, yeah, have a good night, man. My dad was a big fan of places like flea markets where you could find boxes of this stuff buried in the back somewhere, and buy it real cheap, like you were saying about those baseball cards. And so I ended up with some cool stuff, and I read all of it, but it never occurred to me to you know make sure that it stayed in pristine condition. I just wanted to read the stories because I was a kid, you
Right.
know. And some of those comics I still have to this day, but they're not in great shape because I still read them. So,
Still check though. I mean, you might not get as much as you could have, but you might get something. I mean, you might get enough to put. y- I don't know. Go buy a bar or something. I don't know. I can see you owning a bar too, with the right staff with you.
yeah. Well, I hear Joker Voice is a hell of a bartender. I don't know
I
if he'd
don't
want
think.
to he'd want to own a bar out in the high plains where it gets stupid fucking cold, but
Yeah, I was about to say I don't. I don't think Joker wants to do that.
but but the tips are good because people do love to drink out here because it's so fucking cold.
Yeah, it gives them the illusion of being warm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's every once in a while somebody gets drunk enough that they wander off out into the plains and we don't see them again till spring.
I mean, when they thaw out.
Well, I mean their body does, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like they don't survive that.
Now here's something. Here's something else I was going to show you. Now we got to talking about you know independent artists making their own comics and providing alternatives to to the big corporations.
Mhm.
But depending on how they've done it, they're not going to make no money. And the reason why I say that, the reason why they'll make money, but not as much as they want. The reason why I say that is because of an article I came across today. Apparently, someone wrote of course, created their own comic, but where this person messed up is that and his name is Chris Castanova, right? And where he
Mhm.
messed up is he used one of those AI, those websites. There's websites that you can go on
Oh yeah.
that will AI generate, generate everything for you. The artwork, all of that. Well, I guess someone, I'm guessing somebody started stealing his work, and he tried to go. He sued and went to court to try to establish what he thought was the fact that um his comic was protected by copyright laws, and he found out that it's not because when he went to court, he didn't tell the court that he was using an AI website and that the AI was actually had actually done this, had actually done the drawing, and not the guy himself.
Mhm.
See, he did not originally disclose their use of Mid-Journey software when they applied for copyright registration last year. The new partial copyright is intended to replace the old one, which cover the entirety of the work. The letter states that a new decision is a more limited version, so the decision is actually a massive blow to AI proponents who were hoping that their work will be protected by the US copyright law. So if you are planning on making a comic book and you're using an AR generator for your art, it's open season on your work because as far as the US government, as far as the laws are concerned, it's not yours. It's not exclusively yours because you didn't put pen to paper and actually draw it.
Yeah, I think that depends on the specific website and the specific AI, but the one he used sounds like, yeah, he because there are some where anything that you generate, you have the AI generate on there, um, is yours. Like my PFP, for example, is mine in perpetuity. The AI, the site that it came from, has no claim on that, and they state that explicitly on their homepage.
Well, somebody needs to tell this judge that because they're saying what they're saying is different.
Yeah, so I don't know.
So they're saying if you did not actually draw it, if you just used a AI website, you cannot. It's not that you can't sell it, but you can't claim copyright protections. So you make something, you can go right ahead, you can sell it and everything, but it's open season on your work.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Hold up, Beak. So are you still talking about the friggin' Lapeef?
Yeah.
I hate that they pull that shit. I hate it. Right? You got to be subscribed in order to leave any kind of comment, and you got to be subscribed for like 5 fucking hours before they start the stream. And then about 10 minutes in, they switch it to members only. So it's like, what the fuck did I subscribe for in the first place? And now they open it up after 1,000 likes. That is such fucking horseshit. Like I get it that they do that. They started doing that shit around that time that they had that guy trolling with the hijabi porn, but they got nuked for a minute. But if this and I understand not wanting to let that shit happen again, but at the same time, you're cutting off most of your fucking audience. You know,
Are they worth the rent?
no, they're not. I don't like how they fucking operate over there. So sorry.
Let them operate let them operate the way that they want. But
Mhm.
I noticed a few months ago that compared to the year prior, they lost almost half their subscribership. When I first found out about them, they had like over, if I'm not mistaken, they had over 100,000 over 100,000 members or whatever you want to call it, subscribers.
Mhm.
And then when I saw it a few months ago, it was like 70,000.
Yeah, they've lost quite a few, and part of that has to do with how they operate their live streams. Part of that has to do with the fact that the quality's dropped. You know. Um, Good night, JB. And if I don't hear from you on Saturday, I'm sure I will. But happy birthday.
Yeah. Good night, JV. Happy birthday.
So yeah, but that
Now,
I get. I'm done. I'm done ranting about those assholes. I love you, Amira. I don't love the Peace Network.
now on to the good stuff, so to speak. Let's see.
That actually, real quick before we move on, just as y'all in the chat, right? People who've been coming here, people who will come here, you know, I am never, if even if I get monetized, I am never instituting memberships on this channel. Everybody's fucking welcome, and everybody gets their chance to speak, as far as I'm concerned. Nobody's going to be barred from my fucking chat. Just putting that out there.
Unless you start doing some stuff that you shouldn't be doing,
Well, I
trying to
mean,
get the chat shut down.
yeah, obviously there are rules, and I have moderators for that reason, and they're all aware of those rules. But I'm just saying that, like, I'm not going to put my chats behind a fucking paywall.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen. So, just so you guys are aware.
Yeah, that's what turned me off about them over there.
Mhm.
So, Cocaine Bear. So we know Cocaine Bear is out now. Um, and in honor of that, I thought we'd do this. Since that bear likes to get high, how many other bears out there, how many other animals out there do we know that have gotten high or has gotten drunk?
That's
Hold on a
a
second.
that's a fair question. I can really only think of one. Hey yo, boo boo. That snort was perfectly timed, given the topic.
That's why I did it. Check this out. This bear, and
Oh
this is in a different
no!
country.
Oh, that's a bad fucking idea. Oh, there are
What?
signs in certain parts of the South that say "Do not feed the alligators hallucinogens."
Yeah,
You know why those signs are up? Because some fucking idiot did that.
that's not an alligator.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, as far as it says hallucinogenic mad honey, yeah, like there are signs in the South that say do not do this because people have apparently been feeding mushrooms and acid to alligators.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And walking too close, that that the 85-year-old lady and her dog just got killed by an alligator the other day because she was walking her dog right next to the lake, and it just came out and just snatched him.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Well,
that's
it snatched her. It snatched her little dog, and then she tried to save her dog, and so the alligator was all right. All right, well, I'll take you then.
mhm. Well, I mean, she was probably attached to the dog by a leash, so it got 2 meals for the price of one. For a gator, that's a pretty good day. Not so much for the old lady or her dog. All right. So we're gonna watch this bear freak out. It looks like a Chinese bear. Oh yeah, he's stoned. Poor bastard. Maybe India. Yeah, yeah, bear's stoned to shit. So what? Did they just have some like a bunch of honey that went bad or something like that? Very. All right, guys. Well, I assume he will be with us momentarily. I don't know, dude. You're muted. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I don't know how that happened. I'm sitting
I was like, I can't. I don't know. We can't hear a thing you're saying. So I guess I'll just talk to you on mute.
talking. No, well, sorry about that, guys. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, apparently it was in Turkey. The bear lives in Turkey, and there's some kind of weird honey that grows out there that has psychedelic properties, and that bear went yogi on it. The bear was eventually passed out and was taken for veterinary treatment. The cub, who has been named, I'm not even going to try to say that, but is now in good health and will be released back into the wild as soon as possible. Yeah, I'll bet.
Oh, he's Turkish.
Yeah, the bears.
Uh, Balkuz, I want to say, or Balkis.
Balkis looks like.
It's like
Mad honey, which has a bitter, sharp taste and can irritate the throat, differs from normal honey because it contains neurotoxins called great. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. It can cause intoxication and poisoning once consumed, hence the name. That bear's lucky to be alive.
yeah. Huh. So if you keep bees, don't keep rhododendrons.
Yeah, this bear is lucky to be alive.
Yeah, he
and
looks
see what can this honey cause. Yeah.
it looks about like me after a bender.
Cardiac disorders, respiratory issues, as well as such symptoms as dizziness, blurred vision, double vision, nausea, vomiting, vertigo, headaches, sweating or excessive perspiration, burning or pricking sensation in the extremities, impair. God, Lord.
Beak, I would say that they probably forgot or they lied. Those are your options. So yeah.
Yeah. Poor muscle control. Yeah, this stuff was bad. This stuff was bad. This bear was in bad shape. This bear was in bad shape.
Yeah, lucky to be alive. I mean, you know, I can't say as says I don't understand it. Just seeing something out in the wild looks delicious and you eat it and bad things happen. I think that's happened to most boys at some point in their life. Bears and humans alike.
How about that one?
How is it gripping? They don't have thumbs.
No, I think that was I think somebody put that there. I don't think that bear actually had that in his hands. But then again, no, actually they can do they can grip it because years ago, and I think I want to say it was like the late '90s. I remember watching a news program where this bear had gotten in somebody's backyard. This guy had a refrigerator outside in his backyard, and that's where he kept all his beers. He kept it all outside in this refrigerator. And this bear had got into his backyard. Guy comes home, he sees bottle cans littered, sprawled out in his driveway. He pulls up, gets out, sees that the cans are empty. He walks over to his backyard. The bear has drank 28 beers, drank all of his beers, is passed out on the ground, and had the last can in his paw and was holding it. So apparently they can grip it. I don't know how, but they can grip it. And the funny thing is with this bear in particular, it wouldn't just drink any type. It was a certain type of beer because the guy the guy that it robbed had two different types of beer, and it tossed one.
Hmm.
So apparently some campers were away from their tents, maybe going on a hike or a swim. While they were gone, this backwards bandit bear snuck into their campsite and opened their cooler full
So
of
good.
cold brews.
Care
Right.
Bears care.
So the evidence was discovered after they found the bear passed out with a trail of empty beer cans leading back to the campsite. A total of 36 cans were found with bite marks and bear claw punctures in them. The bear only has a taste for one beer. What's even funnier about this situation is that the bear was only interested in a specific type of beer called Rainier beer. Don't you drink that?
No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, okay. While investigating the scene, it was found that the bear opened one bush beer and apparently didn't like it because he left the rest of them untouched. However, he drank all the Rainier beer. He drank all the rain beer and wouldn't drink the bush beer, said Lisa Bronson, bookkeeper at the campground.
Yeah,
When
well,
the
that,
park
that that bear knows a thing or two then because Bush sucks.
when the park officials tried to chase it away from the campsite, the bear was stumbling so bad that it couldn't walk straight and climbed the tree to take a nap. Several hours later, it woke up and park rangers were able to safely remove the bear. There's a bear passed out.
Does that not look like a dude? Like just
I swore. Look at this. Look at that. Right there. For those of you that can't see, that's not that's not a color pattern on his fur.
Yeah, I get that. That's not what I meant by dude. I just meant like the posture and everything. He just looks like some guy who was really tired and leaned over.
Some guy who had a bad night.
Yeah, he's
You
probably
know,
hung over his shit.
I still didn't want to believe it. Right? Bear returns the next day.
Hair of the dog, man.
However, the bear had such a good time, it showed back up the very next day for round two with another camper's cooler of beers. Though this time the wildlife officials were prepared and set a trap that safely captured the bear again by luring him in with donuts, honey, and of course, two open cans of Rainier beer. The bear was relocated for the second time, and the story went viral on social media. Although no video was ever taken of this bear, below is a video of what it might have looked like. That is a real bear.
Yeah,
And that's a beer he's drinking.
that's nuts. I don't know. I mean, they tell you to keep your food separate from your camp and all that stuff, and like make sure it's in containers that prevent the scent of the food from getting out, and make sure it's raised up and like not in your tent because the bear will tear through fucking everything if
Oh yeah,
it's looking for
they'll,
food.
they'll push a truck over if they if they think they can get a beer
Man,
or some food or
I saw a video years ago where they put food in a dumpster and then they locked it up, right? And this bear came over and peeled the side off a fucking steel dumpster like it was a can of tuna and got at the food anyway.
they should have
Just
known
took the
better.
side right off. Now, to be fair, this wasn't like a black bear. This was a grizzly, but
Yeah, I was about to
still,
say it's probably a grizzly that did that.
yeah, it was. But yeah, that was impressive, to say the least. I mean, and you got to keep in mind that like black bears can fuck you up. Grizzly can take your head off with one swipe of its paw. I mean, just the
Oh yeah,
strength of the strike alone it doesn't even have to have claws for that. It'll just knock your head clean off your shoulders.
right.
You know, um, and that's not talking about anything else. Like its bite, for example, it could probably crush your skull in its jaws, and its mouth's near big enough to do it. You know, uh, they're big bears and they're very strong. And if they want food, there ain't nothing getting between them and that fucking food. I'd say the only more dangerous thing that you can do around bears besides having your food poorly stored is stepping between a mother and its cub. That's a guaranteed death.
Oh yeah.
You know, bears don't fuck around when it comes to their cubs.
No, they don't.
But yeah, that's pretty funny. The drinky bear. At least they didn't like OD and die though, right?
No, no, they didn't.
Yeah. Unlike Cocaine Bear or Pablo Escobar.
My wife heard that name. She heard that for the first time tonight. They had a commercial. Oh my gosh, this commercial! You should have heard it. They were talking about the bear, and they were like, "Yeah, the bear is great and blah blah blah," and they were like, it's gonna give everybody a gift and this and this, and then they had the messed up part was they had these kids going, "Thank you, Pablo Escobar." And my wife was like, "What?" And she just started. We're in the car. She starts rolling. She's like, "Pablo Escobar," and I was like, "Yeah, that's what they're calling him." And then she was like, "I forgot about that." I was like, "When did you know about it?" You know, because she's not. I'm the avid moviegoer.
Mhm.
She's not. So, but with the advertiser, I mean, everybody so many people have heard about Cocaine Bear coming out. I think most of the people that want to go, they're just in disbelief that somebody can make this. But I
I
wasn't
am
surprised. I'm like, after Sharknado, come on.
Well, Sharknado, first of all, is a special case because that was made by Sci-Fi Channel when they were throwing money at every fucking idea that anybody gave them, and it was made on their budget on their channel. This is a full-fledged motion picture in the theater. It's almost a different animal. I mean, sharks and bears, really.
Mm.
And I would not be surprised if JV's prediction is correct. I think it's going to kick the shit out of Ant-Man and the Wasp:
Oh
Quantumania,
yeah.
which just released and is doing very poorly because apparently not only is it a bad fucking movie, but it also praises communism.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So, Beak, yes, that is indeed true. Sharknado is in fact a national treasure.
Yeah. I mean, it was well done, and many films have come out since trying to copy it, but Sharknado is Sharknado.
Nice, Ozzy. Yeah, Sharknado is a whole. It's on its own. It was a weird fucking phenomenon, and it was a weird time in you know, movie history when they started making those, and they made 6 of the fucking things. And I think the last one was like, "We promise this is the last one."
It was like, yeah, Sharknado 1 million. We promise it's the last one.
Well, that movie set off a bunch of knockoffs. So, like, you had like the multi-headed shark attack movies, right? There
Hmm.
was two-headed shark attack was the first one, and they got all the way up to like six-headed shark attack. So it was like one shark with 6 heads.
Hmm. I heard about that.
Yeah, and then you had they got into Sharktopus, which was a hybrid between a great white and a giant octopus. And eventually they started getting into crossovers. So like you had Crocosaurus versus Sharktopus. And I mean these are horrendous movies, but they were a lot of fun. But you started seeing a lot of shit like that. One of my favorites was I forget what it was called, but it was about sharks at a ski resort in the Rockies. Like they would swim through the snow and attack people. And the tagline, I think, on the movie poster said, "Snow is just frozen water, so the science is sound," which it isn't, of course, obviously. But that was a lot of fun. That era of movie making, I miss some of that. It was, yeah, they were low budget and they were dumb, but they were fun, you know. So, yeah, I don't know, I like bad movies.
Okay,
I
now I see what's going on. I don't know why, but it keeps muting me. I keep getting
uh,
muted. I think it's something that I'm doing.
yeah, it
But
have to be on your end.
but yeah, I'm not gonna trip on it. But what I was gonna say is it's just these movies, and whether it be Sharknado, or I would even say um cartoons, TV shows. I mean, the inspiration that people have gotten lately. I mean, and in some cases is turned violent, unfortunately. But hey, sometimes, okay, I hate to admit it, but and this is going off the topic. It's not about Cocaine Bear. But when I heard this, I couldn't help but laugh. I remember. I mean, this was years ago when I heard this. I oh man, I had tears in my eyes. Do you remember that South Park episode
Man Bear Pig.
where it was a South Park episode where Cartman was talking about running around and kicking redheaded people.
Oh, where he set up an organization of like-minded individuals to cast all the gingers out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
You did you hear what happened as a result of that episode?
I'm pretty sure. Outside of South Park, no, I don't think I paid much attention. I was just watching the show and laughing.
Hold on.
That's right, Beak. That's right. They earn a freckle for every soul they steal.
So this I'm gonna Pause and be careful how I do this. Wait, here it is. I think this is okay. Hold on. Do 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 do.
Well, while we waiting, never
Boom.
mind.
Did I give you audio?
I don't know. It's not playing, so
I haven't played it yet. Can
it
you hear
looks
anything?
muted on there.
Can you
Yeah,
hear
we got
anything?
audio. Yeah.
Skin and freckles. Police in California and Canada investigating a series of assaults that happened this past Friday. The students were beaten for their so-called ginger complexions. Apparently, a Facebook group claimed that November 20th would be National Kick a Ginger Day.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing something about that. Yeah. Yeah, my mother and my sister weren't too happy about that. They're both gingers.
Did either of them get kicked?
I don't know. I didn't kick either one of them, but I think they were just appalled at the idea, and you know. So my mom's got it a couple of different ways coming. So not only is she a redhead, a natural redhead,
Mm.
but she's also a southpaw. So, and for those of you who are too young to know what that means, it means left-handed.
Two left-handed. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
left-handed.
Um, so I've been giving her crap about the left-handed thing since I was a little kid because I'm not.
Let's play this.
The quote, the Facebook says that is incited violence against any individual or group this is what Facebook said, excuse me. Inciting violence against any individual or group is against what we stand for and our policies. Of course, it's hard to rein in some of these things sometimes, and police say that it may have been this whole thing inspired by an episode of South Park.
She's like, "Oh my gosh, it couldn't possibly be this cartoon."
Uh, yeah, yeah, lady. Yeah, it could. Now, here's something about this lady. Did you know at this point in time, I think she was in her 50s.
Yeah,
She
I
was
think so.
almost 50. Anyway.
From back in 2005, bigoted cartoon character Eric Cartman claiming that gingers have no souls and suffer from, quote, gingivitis, which may be funny on South Park, but it is not funny for the families who have dealt with this situation. Deputy Rob Kazmersky is with the LA County Sheriff's Department. Deputy, welcome. Good to have you.
So
this also marks the last time that the mainstream media gave a fuck about gingers.
Yeah, no, B. This happened like 13 years ago, dude. This was like 13 years ago.
With us today.
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. Tell us about what happened in your area.
Pretty much basically the same thing that you've described. What we're finding out is something that stemmed from Hartman in South Park and Take a Ginger Day. And some student somewhere along the line got a bright idea of starting it on Facebook.
Yeah, so somebody started a thread on Facebook. That's how it started.
I mean,
right?
I think this was a thing where I was at too, but it never got that severe. Nobody got put in the hospital. There weren't any severe beatings. You just kick them on a butt and laugh, and that was it.
Oh, it got it. You just wait. You just wait.
And kind of blown up from there.
And what can you tell us about the child? Not his name, obviously, but he's 12 years old, right? What happened to him, and how did all of this come to your attention?
It came to our attention from the students' parents. They came to the station to report that their son had been accosted twice at school and weren't really sure why. After talking to these students, he said he was aware of the Facebook incident, and basically the second he got dropped off at school, he was walking away from the drop-off area and was surrounded and knocked down to the ground by anywhere from 8 to 12 students. And some students kicked him, some students punched him, and they took off and ran away.
Yeah, now this I was laughing until I heard this part because this one kid got it. He got it bad, but if I remember correctly, I don't think it was just this one kid. I think there were like women that were getting kicked at random. Like somebody was walking down the street, some lady, And if I'm not mistaken, some teenagers ran up and just put their Timberlands, just parted her cheek with Timberlands, just
Mm.
just just kicked her into another area code.
Nothing was ever said to him as to why, and then he walked around the corner of the building and got attacked again by another
Oh
set of
my
students.
gosh, that's
So
awful. This is scary for
yeah,
this poor 12-year-old kid to get dropped off at school. And as you say, 8 to 12 students surrounded him and punched him and kicked him and knocked him down.
that's basically where we're at this
Yeah.
point. And he said he was even aware of this Chicken Ginger Day, but he thought it could be a joke. Coming from a cartoon.
Had anybody threatened him that he might be in danger on that day, or watch out because tomorrow we're going to get you?
It was kind of, I would say, it was known throughout the school that this day was coming because all these kids live and die by Facebook anymore these days. And so he was aware of it. And his friend just had mentioned it to him, but he said he wasn't concerned about it. He thought it was just going to be a big joke, and really didn't feel that he was going to be threatened in any way.
There are reports of this happening in other.
Yeah, he was wrong. He was very wrong. But yeah, they actually interviewed him, and I'm not gonna show it, but in another video they actually interviewed him, and the boy was crying and everything.
Oh yeah, he just got his ass kicked. Yeah. And I mean, fact of the matter is like, yeah, bullying sucks. It does, and it, you know, at times it's extremely painful too. But it also teaches us to stand up for ourselves and to fight back, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
definitely,
So hey,
definitely.
Michelle.
Hey, Michelle. Um, so we are actually over time, but
Hmm.
some of this guys we're gonna have to save until next week. But I do want to mention that apparently the Cocaine Bear screenwriter is talking about a sequel.
What already?
Yeah, and he's actually
Jesus.
quoted as he's actually when he was asked about this movie, he's quoted as saying, "I never thought anybody was going to make this movie." Now, as we know, Elizabeth Banks made made this movie. there's an article there's an article with her interview that she did where she was saying that it's hard, female directors are getting discriminated against to do action movies, and that she actually tried to get the director spot to do Thor Ragnarok and was turned down. At the same time, she said that she actually during editing she actually cut out a part of the movie because it was so disgusting that if people saw it they would throw up in the theater, and so she cut it.
Hmm. That's funny, given some of the movies she's been in.
Yeah.
Like she was one of the leads in Zack and Mary Make a Porno. There is a scene in that movie that is there's corn in it.
uh
Yeah, super fucking gross. You know, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can take much that woman says seriously, given the last couple of years. And honestly, like JV's always saying, I am surprised that I'm as excited to see an Elizabeth Banks movie as I am. I mean, if this turns out to be some kind of like, I don't know, woke beef injection or whatever, I'm gonna be pretty fucking pissed. But so far, I don't get that impression, at least from the trailers. The trailers make me want to see the movie, which is what a good trailer should do.
mhm.
You know, so I'm just like, well, Michelle, we're not really talking about Elizabeth Banks so much as we're talking about Cocaine Bear, which she directed. So, but I am excited for this movie, and I hope it doesn't suck. And if it doesn't, I will be more than happy to sing its praises from the mountaintops. If it does, I'm gonna rip it a fucking new one. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So I did some digging, right? And
Mm.
I'm hoping that it's not going to be some kind of woke mess too, because this is the type of movie that you don't really need that. But apparently, the scene that was taken out, it was It was towards the end of the movie. You only see his body, but apparently his face is ripped off.
Isn't this movie rated R anyway?
Well, she wasn't worried about the rating. She was saying that the sight of the body was too gross, and she felt that if anybody saw it, they would throw up, and so she took it out to spare anybody, the possibility of throwing up. My guess is somebody probably told her to take it out because even with the rated R rating, maybe that was, you know, a little bit of step over the line, and so she probably had to take something out. That's what I'm guessing.
Or she didn't like it and decided to take it out. Which, I mean, as a director is her prerogative, but
Yeah,
at
it's
the
her
same time,
prerogative.
like Elizabeth Banks is about my age, right? Give or take a couple years. She grew up watching the same shit that I did, right? Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, like there's been some horrendous shit on screen during our lifetimes, right?
All right.
And suddenly, like this is a guy with a missing face is too much. Hell, I saw a movie where Paris Hilton's face fucking fell off.
Yeah, that's I know what you're talking about. That's
Yeah,
that
Repo the Genetic
musical.
Opera.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that movie.
that's a
I,
great fucking movie.
that movie is outstanding,
You know,
especially with the I like the grave robber.
yeah. He is also the guy who plays the grave robber is the guy who wrote and directed it too.
Is he?
Yeah, his name is something Zadunich. Yeah. He also did Devil's Carnival, which it's okay. It's not. I don't think it's as good as Repo is, but it's okay. And then he got into a lot of trouble for being too handsy with young women on his set. Some of them were a little too young,
Mm.
and he's not making movies anymore. Not sure
Well,
what happened to him, but anyway, yeah. Point is like that movie was great, and Paris Hilton's face falling off was like icing on the fucking cake.
yeah, it was. Now, here, tell you what's not icing on the cake, and this is, I was, I was gonna put this up, but I'm thinking not because some writer for Polygon, she was nice enough to put a bunch of spoilers. Like some of the most things that she thought was the most ridiculous. But when I read the list, I was like, these things kind of actually sound pretty cool. Um, but yeah, I don't think I don't think this is a good idea because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, and
Oh,
because I know
no
what I
worries.
kind of I know what I know what I kind of thought. I was like, why would you, because it wasn't. It was like she was being passive aggressive about it.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
There's been a lot of that shit from her in the last couple of years, which is one of the reasons that I'm a little trepidatious. Michelle, I think we will probably save that one for next Thursday.
Yeah, because we're actually wrapping up.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, I'll hold on to it and get it to Larry, and we'll do it next Thursday.
Yeah,
Tonight
I'll
we're
put it
probably
on the
going to
list.
close out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll put it on the program for next week. Um, but yeah, guys, just real quick, um, it looks like if for all you Brie Larson fans, it looks like the Marvels got pushed back. They got pushed back again, I think, for the fifth time.
Did you see that poster?
No.
Okay, so they put out a poster. I don't know if I don't think I'm going to show it on here. So Gary from Nerdrotic, basically what the poster has is got Miss Marvel on the ground reaching up to the sky, and then it's got Captain Marvel or Brie Larson coming out of like a star-shaped light, like the symbol on her chest or whatever, and then it's got the new character who was Captain Marvel for a while. I'm not 100%. The one from Scarlet Witch who went through the barrier and it affirmed her and all of a sudden she's got freaking cosmic superpowers.
Yeah, I know what you're
So
talking about.
she's coming down and there's light coming up around her, from her feet, like she's coming through the atmosphere, right?
Right.
So Gary from Nerdrotic took that and put it into Photoshop and drew 3 or 4 lines and turned it into something hilariously disgusting. Where basically he drew a woman from a very particular angle so that the star that Brie Larson's coming out of looks like a brown eye, and the chick above her looks like she's coming out of a vagina, and it kind of looks like Miss Marvel down below them got shit out.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Foreshadowing of the movie.
if I can find it, I will send it to you. But I don't have it ready for right now, and I don't think I would show it right now on the screen anyway.
Yeah.
But it's pretty funny.
Well,
This is the 5th time it's been delayed, and
yeah,
I still don't care about that movie at
I
all.
don't either. And speaking of not caring, now, here's the one that had me laughing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they knew that was going to happen. They were warned and warned and warned that if Amber Heard retained her part in this movie, people were going to fucking not go.
And they
It's not.
swore that they took her out.
It's not like, yeah. And then first they said, oh, we're going to take her out. Then they said, oh, we cut her part down to 10 minutes. And then he comes to find out now she's in a significant portion of it, and she's kind of key to the plot.
Oh no, they had got it down to 1 minute at one point.
They said that, yeah. I don't believe that
But
they ever
I
did.
knew they were lying. I knew they were lying. I think they were hoping that they push it back far enough. And I think it was a gamble. I think it's similar to almost like what they're trying to do with the Flash. You
Yeah.
know, and both of these people are horribly toxic. But you give it some time, you push it back enough, you know, you might be able to salvage something for the movie, and I'll bet that was the reasoning behind it. And it's like, really? Well, the fact that over 6,000 people, I'm sorry, over 6 million people signed a petition that I think was only asking for 1 million signatures to have her taken out of that movie, you know, and I believe somebody at the studios was even accusing all these people of being bots, but
Mhm.
it was proven that they weren't. And so it's like, for you to keep her in there after what she did, but you fired Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I mean, different companies, but yes. Yeah,
I
it's all
don't
part of the
care.
Hollywood machine. I don't know. Frankly, I don't think people should be getting fired over their fucking failing marriages and their part in that. I don't think that I'm of the opinion that while yes, Amber Heard is a gigantic piece of shit, I could just not go see her movies. I don't think she should lose her job because um, she had a spectacularly failed marriage. That
Well,
was in no small part due to her actions.
yeah. Well, honestly, I don't think that it matters that it was a different company, because something like this, Hollywood moves in lockstep. I grew up in that area.
Mhm.
I've met movie stars. I've met
Sure.
showrunners. They all run lockstep. There was no way, if he had a movie, okay, there was
Mhm.
no way that nobody was gonna give this man a job. Nobody, after what she did. And it's just for them, but it's just the fact that they lied.
Sure, and I get that, but I also, like on the same token that I don't think that she necessarily should have been fired from Aquaman. I just don't have any interest in watching movies with her in it. I also don't think that Johnny Depp should have been kicked out of the fucking Pirates thing, even though I haven't watched any of those since the third one because I kind of hate them now. Not for political reasons. I just think that they got really bad.
They
Um,
did.
you
They
know,
did.
it's like the only one I really enjoy is the first one, to be honest. But that has nothing to do with like anything that went on outside of that. It's just they just weren't good movies. Um, but Ezra Miller, on the other hand, is a different animal. The guy is on camera committing fucking crimes. He should be in jail. Period.
Hmm.
Awaiting trial.
How he, like you said, how he's walking free, I don't understand that.
Mhm.
I don't
Well,
understand how he's walking free.
I know why he's walking free. That doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
He's walking free because he can describe in detail every single producer in Hollywoods' dick, because that boy got passed around like a pack of cools in a prison yard. They used him, and it's not really a surprise that he turned out being a completely poisonous creature.
No, I mean, you gotta wonder what all that. I'm not gonna go into detail, but it definitely warps a person's brain.
Mhm. I ain't even sure that he's aware of everything that he's done because he's so fucking high half the time. But it doesn't really matter because some of the things that he's done, he was very much sober for, and they are on camera, some of them, and they are crimes. I don't understand how the fuck he isn't in jail in Iceland.
He probably got the hell. He probably got the hell up out of there.
Hawaii, I understand. I mean, it's chock full of people who'd let in, would have the same kind of catch and release policies with Antifa that say Seattle does. But Iceland, really, is like usually foreign countries, no matter how left leaning they are, crack down on Americans fucking around with their laws. So, but whatever. That said, I don't think he should be employed, but I think he should be employed and not be employed, not because Warner Brothers fired him, but because he's in jail and can't make this commitment. I don't as far as her goes, let her keep the job. Nobody's gonna go fucking watch this shit.
Well, that from the looks of it, that's what that's what they did.
Mhm.
I mean, look at this. I mean, people that went and saw it, she can't act. She has no chemistry with the leading man.
Right.
No film would prevail under those conditions. I mean, people just like she stunk up the place.
I mean, fuck, you can just from that shot that's on the screen right there, right? You can tell that's a wig.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to tell. Like it's not going to be a good movie. Anyway, regardless of who's in it, this is not going to be a good movie. I mean, the first one was okay from my eyes are bleeding from all the CGI kind of standpoint, but it's not going to go over well. And the only reason it did as well as it did, because the first Aquaman hit pretty close to $1 billion, if not over.
Yeah, I think it went over.
Is because women like to see Jason Momoa without a shirt on.
Yeah.
That's what pushed it over.
That's what pushed it. Yeah.
So, and I can't fault him for that. Straight women looking at that dude, sure. I get it. But the movie wasn't that good. No. I think the best part of it was actually Black Manta. He was cool.
Yeah, he was.
They really did some cool shit with him, and I loved how they like when he gets this suit built and he's got the laser eyes going and all that shit. He looked fantastic, but beyond that, yeah, the movie's not great.
Yeah. And then their secret invasion, which I'll go into next week.
Yeah.
But
Michelle, no, I don't know why I would hate you at all for that. Like, if you like it, you like it. I have no issue with that. I will say that it's based on the myth and lore of Atlantis as told by DC Comics, so it's really not super accurate to ancient lore. But yeah, so no, if you like what you like, I don't listen to me. If I say I hate something, that doesn't mean that I'm saying that you should hate something, at all. And that goes for everybody. If you like something, don't let anybody tell you shouldn't.
Yeah. Now, Secret Invasion, that just got pushed back, I think, to mid-May. That's not bad. But what I didn't know,
Isn't that supposed to be Avengers 4 or something like that?
Secret
Or
Invasion?
5? Yeah.
No. Secret Invasion. Well, yeah, because it's mostly Nick. It's more about Nick Fury than them. But look who's in it. I had no idea Amelia Clark is in it. They got Daenerys Targaryen.
Well, she's got to be getting work somewhere because that Terminator thing didn't work out.
When she
I don't
filmed
know.
that movie, she was still in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I know, but it still didn't do what you know that movie was supposed to be the start of yet another trilogy. Like each of the three movies that have come out since Terminator 3 were intended to reboot the franchise.
No, well, you know what? You know what happened. It's not that that movie that she did, Genesis, actually was good. It was good. What happened is Linda Hamilton got a hold of it and then jacked it up, and she did her own trilogy.
I was gonna,
That's what stopped it.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, they turned John Connor into a fucking Terminator, man.
Yeah, that was great.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, that was not obviously not as bad as what happens in Dark Fate, which
Well, yeah,
completely negates the first two movies.
well, you have to remember that he was an alternate version of John Connor. There was different versions. You know what I'm saying? But that whole Dark Fate undoing all that was, if I correct me if I'm wrong, that was if it wasn't Linda Hamilton's idea, it was somebody's idea to uproot it to basically turn it into a woke, pro female lead,
Yeah, and
which
James
it was
Cameron.
already was a female lead,
Yeah.
thing, but
Well,
they just took it and completely went left.
I
I
think
think,
Joker Voice could probably tell you more about specifically who was involved, but we all know that James Cameron signed off on it,
yeah,
and which destroys the lore entirely, especially, and it erases the first two movies, which were the only ones that were worth a damn, to be honest with you. Yeah, like I like some of the other movies that came after. Like I liked the one with Christian Bale and Sam Worthington. I like
mhm,
that movie. It's not a it doesn't really fit with the rest of the Terminator movies though, and it's objectively at points really, really bad. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed that movie. I enjoyed Genesis for the most part, but I fucking hated it as a Terminator movie. You know, Terminator 3 even. I think the best part about that movie is the ending. The ending's fantastic, but the rest of it sucks.
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, um,
And I think that was supposed to be Kristanna Loken's big break, and it was. But then everything that she did after that, it's like her movies just got worse and worse, and then she did some low budget movie that nobody really watched or,
she
or cared
she
about.
she did the Blood Rain movies before she did Terminator 3.
Are you sure?
The first one, yeah.
Because I don't remember. I never saw it until after Terminator 3 came out.
No, that's nobody had ever heard of them. They didn't do very well in theaters. They weren't there very long. The first one, all the rest of them went to, and I think she's actually only in the first one and maybe the second one because there's three or four of them, and they got different actresses in those. Um, but yeah, that first one had Ben Kingsley in it too.
Let's see, 2005, and Terminator 3 came out. Uh, no,
Huh.
Terminator 3 came out in 2003, and Blood Rain came out 2005. Yeah, I knew I wasn't wrong about that.
Well, it was pretty close, but I'll be honest with you. The only reason I remember that movie is because she's topless and like
I knew you were gonna say that.
it is that, and it was bloody as shit, and I love that about it. But I don't even really remember Ben Kingsley's performance. To be
Yeah.
fair, I was drinking a lot in those days, so
Well, well, that'll do it, I guess.
yeah, yeah. The video games are great. The movies are not. So, but yeah, we're coming up on 2 hours here, buddy. You want to? You got anything else you want to add before we shut it down?
Um, hey guys, thank you for sticking with us. I know tonight's kind of a weird night. The Lioness was on another channel, so you know, those of you that really went back and forth, you checked. Hey, thank you for coming through. Um, Next week we'll have some more stuff for you guys. Next week we'll have two quizzes for you guys. I know people usually like the sporacles. I'm gonna try to see if I can change things up a bit, but we're gonna have some quizzes for you guys, and then we'll have some other stuff. I think we're gonna start another movie genre next week.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Excuse me. Just looking at the back end here real quick. I think other than that, come back Saturday. We will be doing Screaming into the Void, same bat time, same bat channel. And been doing some more gaming streams. A little light on it this week because I've had some timing issues. But yeah, and as far as Linus being live at the same time that we were doing this, that is out of her control. She has obligations that she needed to fulfill. So and all that, but we don't usually try to compete with her time slot. But to be fair, that's Lapeef's time slot, and she was on the show. I mean, it's not like we were competing directly with her or anything. And actually, she had the link to this show too. So if she'd wanted to come in after they finished up over there, then she could have at any time. So that said, yeah, I don't know. I had a thing I was gonna do. Probably a Whispering in the Dark the other day, and I just kind of put it off, and now it's not topical anymore. So, here we are. And I think I might have, you guys might remember a while back, I did a Whispering in the Dark on a young woman named Irene Gakwa who disappeared in Wyoming. And don't quote me on this because things are kind of like iffy right now, but there is a trial date set for the man in question, and there may be some more information that I'll be able to get to you guys as an update in the future here, next few weeks maybe. Kind of depends on how soon my sources get the information to me. But if so, then I will do an update on that in the upcoming weeks. And otherwise, yeah, you find us here. Sometimes I'll be on Legion Talk. I was on Cat's channel earlier today with Mary Madness because there was a bit of a technical mishap that I was trying to help her out with, and she just kind of went live while I was still on there with her.
I saw that.
Yeah. We were trying to fix something, and she's like, "Hey, you want to, stay?" I was like, "I could stick around for a minute, but I'm at work on my lunch break, so I'm gonna have to go like pretty quick." And all that. So yeah, just keep an eye out. I try to post when our friends are on live in the community channel. So our community page, what have you. I'm tripping over my words, dude. We should bring it to a close. Thank you all for coming. It's been a fun show. You get me talking about comic books, and I can go all damn day, as Larry will attest. And we appreciate each and every one of you showing up and being here and being part of the conversation. Thank you so much. Have a great night. And remember, YouTube, it could always be worse. Oh, now you're going to let me say it?
I wasn't going to say nothing.
It could be Rated Flaming Cobras. Good night, everybody.
What is